Hello and welcome back to Cowboys Insiders and Cowboys Nation. And a huge welcome to every single one of you joining us today to Cowboys Insiders. No matter where you are watching from around the world, we truly appreciate you for being a part of the fastest growing Dallas Cowboy community on this platform. If you love a breaking Dallas Cowboy news, NFL rumors, a roster update and trade discussions, a free agencies move, NFL draft coverage, game analysis, and everything happening around American team, then you're absolutely on the right place here. The energy around the Dallas Cowboy line now is unbelievable, and today we have got some major updates to talk about involving the roster, off-season moves, coaching decisions, salary cap situation, rising star, veteran leaders, and what would be one of the most important seasons in recent Cowboy history. Expectations are sky high in the Dallas, and fans everywhere are waiting to see if this season can finally make a serious Super Bowl run. So before we jump into today a huge Dallas Cowboy news, make sure you hit that on subscribe button and also make sure you turn on notifications and join the Cowboys Inside family so you never miss any breaking updates surrounding a Dak Prescott, a CeeDee Lamb, a Micah Parsons, a George Pickens, and the entire Cowboys organization. We post the latest Dallas Cowboy content every single day, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next to the Dallas Cowboy. The Dallas Cowboy are entering the 2026 NFL season with a massive expectation surrounding the franchise, and the organization is clearly showing the signs that it wants to make another serious Super Bowl run this year. After several seasons of falling short into playoff, owner of the Dallas Cowboys Jerry Jones and the Cowboys front office have been extremely aggressive during the offseason, making a roster adjustment, restructuring a contract, and also improving a depth on both sides of the ball, and also trying to build championship caliber team that can compete with the best teams in the NFL. One of the biggest storylines around the Cowboys right now is a pressure surrounding a franchise quarterback Dak Prescott. So the veteran quarterback remains the leader of the offense and one of the most important players in the entire organization. Dallas recently made financial moves involving a Prescott contract structure in order to create additional salary cap flexibility, allowing the front office to continue adding a talent around him. The Cowboys understand that the windows to compete for the championship with a Prescott under a center will not stay open forever, and the organization appears determined to maximize every opportunity during this current era. Dak Prescott is expected to lead an offense that could become one of the most explosive units in the NFL in this season of 2026. And the Dallas already possesses a net offensive firepower, but the addition and development of a new offensive weapon has created even more excitement among the Cowboys. A wide receiver CeeDee Lamb remains the centerpiece of the passing attack and continues to establish himself as one of the top receivers in the football, which is NFL. His alert running ability, separation speed, yards after catch production, and the red zone efficiency make him one of the most dangerous offensive players in the NFL. And also another major talking point surrounding the Cowboys offense is a wide receiver George Pickens. The talented receiver has generated enormous attention throughout off-season because of his big play ability and physical style of the play. Reports indicate that the Dallas views Pickens as the critical part of the offense moving forward, and many analysts believe he could become one of the Prescott favorite deep threat targets during upcoming season. So George Pickens brings explosiveness to a vertical passing game, and his ability to strengthen defenses could open up even more opportunities and length of the lamp. Tight ends and running back in the Cowboys offensive system. NFL analysts are already discussing the possibilities that Dallas may have one of the strongest receiving corps in the football. If both CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens perform at the highest level together, offensive coaches are reportedly focusing heavily on improving the team downfield passing attack, play action execution, and red zone scoring efficiency. The Cowboys want to become more unpredictable offensively and create mismatches against opposing secondaries every single week. The Cowboys coaching staff also appear committed to improving the running game, which has been inconsistent at the time over the last few seasons. The Dallas Cowboys understand that the balanced offensive scheme is essential for the playoff football and establishing a reliable ground attack that would reduce pressure on a Prescott while also controlling a tempo of a game. Coaches are emphasizing offensive line chemistry, run blocking, and situational football throughout off-season preparations and training activities. On the defensive side of the football, the Cowboys are going through what many insiders are calling defensive reset. So Dallas used the 2026 NFL Draft to strengthen a multiple defensive positions, especially in areas involving a pass rusher, a depth, a linebacker, and a speed and defensive versatility. And the organization believes that improving the front seven will help the team to compete against a elite offenses throughout the NFL. One player receiving a significant attention this offseason is a linebacker DeMarvion Overshawn. Coaches and team executives have spoken positively about his development, athleticism, and leadership potential. Overshawn has reportedly approached the offseason with a tremendous focus, especially knowing that this period could be extremely important for a long-term future with the franchise. Many Cowboys fans believe he could become one of the emotional leaders of the defense during 2026 season. And the Cowboys defense is still expected to rely heavily on speed, aggressive, and creating turnovers. Dallas wants to generate consistent pressure on opposing a quarterback while forcing mistakes throughout aggressive defensive play calling. Defensive coordinators are reportedly focusing on improving a third down efficiency, tackling discipline, and red zone defense after some inconsistent performances in a key moments last season. Dallas has also continued adding a veteran depth throughout free agencies. One notable addition is the veteran wide receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who signed with the Cowboys to provide additional speed and experience to an offense. His presence creates more competition in training camp and gives the Cowboys another potential field-stretching option. The front office believes a veteran depth could become extremely important over the course of the long NFL season filled with injuries and roster adjustment. The Cowboys front office has also spent a considerable time managing the salary cap situation. Several contracts were restructured in order to create a financial flexibility for the future moves in the Dallas Cowboys. So the Dallas understand that the maintaining competitive roster in today's NFL require careful cap management, especially when a multiple star players are involved in signing of a new contract. So the organization appears willing to remain aggressive financially if it believes the current roster has legitimate championship potential. And another major area of focus for the Dallas Cowboys is a team culture and mental toughness. Coaches have repeatedly discussed the importance of accountability, discipline, leadership, and finishing games under the pressure. For years, critics have questioned whether the Dallas could handle the intensity of play football against a nearly opponent. As a result, much of the off-season messaging from inside of the organization has centered around improving execution in a critical moments and developing a stronger playoff mentality. Training camp expectations are already extremely high. Cowboys fans are eager to see how quickly the new offensive pieces develop chemistry and together, and whether the younger defensive players from the draft can contribute immediately. Internal competition at several roster spots is expected to be intense, which coaches believes will ultimately strengthen the entire team heading into a regular season. There is also growing excitement surrounding the Cowboys' schedule and the potential playoff positioning in the NFL, so the conference remains highly competitive with several powerhouse franchises expected to contend for a postseason success. However, the Dallas believes it has enough talent to compete with anybody if the roster stays healthy and performs consistently throughout the year. So many NFL analysts believe this season could define the future direction of the Cowboys franchise and a deep playoff run, which would strengthen a confidence in the current roster construction and coaching approach. And also, the another disappointing postseason exit, however, could create enormous pressure throughout the organization and potentially lead to major changes in a future season. Despite the pressure, optimism remains extremely high around the Cowboys organization. The team possesses star power, offensive explosiveness, defensive speed, veteran leadership, and young talent capable of making an impact immediately in the NFL, especially in the Dallas Cowboys. The franchise clearly believes that the pieces are finally coming together for a serious championship push. And at the center of attention as they navigate the most crucial moments in the modern era, and everything about their approach to NFL draft, it reflects a franchise that is no longer satisfied with simply being competitive. This is a team driven by urgency, shaped by a past disappointment, and fueled by a deep desire to return to the top of National Football League. For years, the Cowboys have carried the weight of expectations only because of their history, but because of the immense spotlight that follows them everywhere. So now more than ever, that spotlight is focused on how they build their roster through a draft and how those decisions will define their immediate future. At the center of this entire operation stands Jerry Jones, a figure whose influence on a franchise cannot be overstated. Jerry Jones has built his reputation on bold move, aggressive decisions, and the unwavering belief that the Cowboys should always be contenders. Unlike many organizations that embrace a long-term rebuild, Dallas operates with a win-now mentality, and that philosophy is clearly reflected in how they approach the draft. Every pick is not just about potential, it is about an immediate impact. It is about finding the players who can step into a high-pressure environment and delivers results from a moment they arrive. The foundations of the current Cowboys roster is strong, and it begins with a quarterback, Dak Prescott, where a Dak Prescott has been the leader of the team for years, and while his performances have often been impressive and the narrative surrounding him to become increasingly tied to postseason success, the rectangular season consistency is no longer enough. The expectations now is clear. Take the team deeper into a playoff and compete for a championship. Supporting Prescott is one of the league's most dynamic wide receivers in CeeDee Lamb, whose ability to create separations, make explosive plays, and dominate defenses has made him a cornerstone of the offense. Together, they form a partnership that has the potential to be one of the most dangerous in the NFL. But even that is not sufficient, but the right supporting case cost. On the defensive side of the ball, Micah Parsons has emerged as a generational talent. And Micah Parsons is not just a linebacker, he is a complete defensive weapon capable of flashing the passer, dropping into the coverage, and disrupting a plays in ways that few players in the league can replicate. His presence alone changes how opposing offenses prepare for the Cowboys. However, the team has recognized that relying too heavily on one player, no matter how talented, is not sustainable strategy. The draft therefore becomes an opportunity to build a defensive unit that complements a Parsons. One of the most pressing concerns for the Dallas heading into this draft is the offensive line. Once considered the gold standard of the NFL, the Cowboys' offensive line has experienced a gradual decline due to the injuries, aging players, and a roster turnover. Protecting a Dak Prescott has become an absolute priority, not just to maintain offensive efficiency but to ensure the long-term health and effectiveness of the quarterback position. The front office is acutely aware that without the strong and reliable offensive line, even the most talented offense can struggle. As a result, the Cowboys are expected to invest heavily in a lineman who combines a physical strength, technical skills, and the mental awareness needed to adapt a speed of professional game. Beyond the trenches, the Cowboys are also focused on adding a depth and versatility to the defensive unity. The modern NFL demands defenses that can adapt to a wide range of offensive schemes, from a high-powered passing attacks to a balanced run-heavy system. So Dallas is targeting a player who brings a speed, flexibility, and intelligence to the field, defenders who can cover in multiple positions, react quickly to the changing situations, and contribute in various roles. This approach reflects a broader shift in the team philosophy, one that emphasizes adaptability and strategic depth over a rigid position role. Offensively, the need for additional weapons is another key focus. While CeeDee Lamb has established himself as a true member one receiver, the Cowboys understand that elite offenses require a multiple threat. Defenses have become increasingly sophisticated and relying on a single dominant receiver who can make an offense predictable. By adding another wide receiver with a speed, a tight end who can both block and crouch, the running back who excel in at passing game, Dallas can create a more dynamic and unpredictable attack. This not only helps Prescott but also forces opposing defenses to spread their attention, opening up opportunities across the field. And what makes this year's draft particularly interesting is the way of the Cowboys are blending traditional scouting with a modern analytics. The organization has embraced a data-driven decisions making, analyzing players' performance metrics, injury histories, and scheme fit in a greater detail than ever before. This evolution demonstrates willingness to adapt to the changing landscape of the National Football League, where a success often depends on finding the right balance between intuition and information. It is a sign that the Cowboys are not just relying on their legacy but are actively working to stay ahead of the curve. The pressure surrounding the franchise cannot be ignored. The Cowboys are one of the most recognizable teams in a sport, and with that recognition comes constantly scrutiny. Every decision is analyzed, every game is dissected, and every failure is magnified. For Jerry Jones, the pursuit of another championship is deeply personal. For a Dak Prescott, and the stakes are equally highly, as his legacy as a quarterback will ultimately be defined by a postseason success. For the coaching staff, the expectations is simple but demanding. Deliver results in this context. The NFL draft become more than just a process of selecting a player. It become a defining moment, a chance to reshape the roster and address a critical weaknesses and build a team capable of competing at the highest level. The Cowboys are not looking for developmental prospects who may take years to reach their potential. They are just looking for players who can contribute immediately, who can handle the intensity of the NFL, and who can help the team win now. As the draft unfolds, each selection carries a significant weight. A successful pick can strengthen a key area of the roster, while missed opportunities can leave a gaps that opponent will exploit. The margin for error is small and the importance of each decision is magnified by the team's current position as contender. The Cowboys are close and closer enough to believe that the right addition could make all the difference. Ultimately, the story of the Dallas Cowboys at this moment is one of determination and transformation. They are a team with a proud history, talented roster, and clear objective. The challenge lies on turning a potential into performance, in translating a draft day decisions into on-the-field success, and in providing that they can rise above the expectations that have defined them for so long time. So if those NFL draft in the Dallas Cowboys succeed, this draft could be remembered as the moment when everything came together, the moment when the Cowboys finally bridged the gaps between promise and achievement. This is attacking this offseason with a far more aggressive mindset than many expected. From NFL draft strategy to free agency's depth moves, from a locker room leadership questions to offensive scheme adjustment, everything happening inside the star line now suggests this organization understands the pressure to finally return to a Super Bowl contention. One of the biggest talking points surrounding the Dallas remain a quarterback, Dak Prescott, and expectations placed on him entering another critical season. Prescott continues to face enormous pressure because the Cowboys have invested heavily in him as the face of franchise, but fans are demanding a postseason result instead of a regular season dominance. Inside a league cycle, many executives still believe Dak is one of the most efficient quarterbacks when protected by a stable offensive line and supported by a balanced run game. However, critics continue pointing towards a turnover in a key moment, a red zone inconsistencies, and struggles against elite playoff defenses as the major concerns that the Dallas must overcome if they want to make a deep January run. The Cowboys coaching staff reportedly spent much of the offseason studying ways to evolve the offensive scheme into a more explosive and unpredictable attack. Expect more pre-snap motions, heavier use of the play action concepts, quicker tempo packages, and expanded vertical route tree designed to maximize mismatches against opposing secondaries. Dallas understands the modern NFL is built around offensive flexibility, and sources around the league believes the Cowboys want to create an offense capable of attacking a defenses at every level of the field instead of relying too heavily on isolation routes and conservation sequencing. A huge reason for optimism remain a superstar wide receiver, a CeeDee Lamb, who has evolved a yards after catch explosiveness and the ability to line up both outside and in the slot make him almost impossible to game plan against for a 4 quarters. Coaches inside the organization reportedly want to move him around even more this season to create leverage advantages and force defenses into unfavorable coverage looks. League scouts believe Lamb is entering the absolute prime of his career, and there is growing feeling that the Dallas may build the entire offensive identity around his versatility moving forward. Meanwhile, the Cowboys running back room continues to be one of the most heavily debated units on the roster. So the Dallas has clearly been searching for a more explosiveness and consistency after struggling to establish a dominance on the ground in critical games that season. NFL insiders believe the organization wants more physical or downhill rushing identity combined with outside zone speed concept that can strengthen defenses horizontally. So the front office also appear committed to improving a short yardage efficiency. So something that became the frustrating weakness during a key moment last year. Analysts expect a Dallas to continue evaluating veteran market options while simultaneously developing a younger back who fits the new offensive philosophy. The offensive line remains another central storyline because protecting a Dak Prescott has become one of the franchise's top priorities. So injuries and inconsistencies affected the unit of different points last season, but the Cowboys still believe they possess foundational pieces capable of restoring a dominance in trenches Dallas scout. And the coaches have emphasized versatility, athleticism, and cross protection intelligence while evaluating alignment through thought of season. The organization reportedly wants to build the unit into a faster and more adaptable group capable of handling modern defensive pressure packages, especially against an elite NFL pass rusher. Defensively, the Cowboys continue building around superstar edge rusher Micah Parsons, who remains one of the most feared defenders in football. The Parsons has completely transformed the identity of the Cowboys defense with his elite burst, crossing a speed pass rusher versatility and relentless motor. Opposing offensive coordinator now build entire protection plans around limiting his impact, yet he still consistently creates pressure and game-changing plays. Around the league, many believe Parsons is not only the cornerstone on the Cowboys defense but also one of the few defenders capable of completing taking over a playoff game by himself. There is also growing excitement surrounding a Dallas defensive depth and hybrid personnel packages. Coaches reportedly want to create a more disguised look before the snap, giving a quarterback fewer opportunities to identify the coverages and blitzes early. The Cowboys defense has become increasingly positionless in a certain situation with a linebacker and safety expected to rotate responsibilities depending on matchups. That flexibility could become one of the biggest strengths of the roster if a younger defender continues developing at the pace the organization expects. So another major focus this offseason has been improving a land defense, especially after a several physical dominance. Opponents exposed weakness in the front seven during a critical stretches of the previous season. Dallas Cowboys understand that playoff football often becomes a battle of the physical in the trenches, and there is reportedly strong emphasis on adding a